Hi everyone, Day here. Welcome back to my Let's Play of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. In today's episode, we're going to try to win over the jury once more in our second summation examination of this particular trial, which happens to be the trial of one Soseki Natsume. So within the last episode, I did kind of have to, I don't know, basically all my current suspects have disappeared. My number one prime time suspect was Joan. I kind of figured that maybe in a heat of jealous rage, she might have stabbed our victim, but it doesn't seem as if that would be the case. It turns out that I feel like her biggest crime would be throwing a book at her husband and it landing outside on the ground below, which most likely ended up in the victim's hand because she bent over to pick it up, right? So that doesn't explain who stabbed her, because if Joan threw it out the window, there's no way she can run down the stairs or wherever that room is to actually get there in time. So that leads me to no leads and just going into the summation examination thinking that we still most likely will not be able to sway Joan to vote for Natsume and not against Natsume. As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined. Are you kidding me? I was one panel away from a to be continued. Breaks my heart, it does. I mean, granted, I saved it kind of in the right spot from the last game. The irony is just not lost. It's just completely not lost. I have considered the defense counsel's request for a further summation examination of the jury, and I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. Also, a judge that presides over the court can decide to turn it down if they so please. Good to know. I feel like that may come up later. Like a judge is like, no, we won't allow you to do a summation examination. It seems like the sort of thing that Ace Attorney would pull at some point. So, counsel, you will now proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman. We are, my lord. Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely, for the court, the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime. Well, it all started the day we were born. Oh boy, judicial findings by the people least equipped to find any evidence. The jurors' contentions. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his. If there was some novel alternative explanation for how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. Even if the woman was storing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? We have to connect the fire to the window being open. Hearing me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit. Direct hit, eh? Look, I just want to get this over with. But I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes. That has nothing to do with what's proceeding at this trial right now. I can't work with that, sir. I cannot work with that. Yes, considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems. With one notable exception, of course. Yeah. My learned student friend wasn't able to find fault in the previous witness testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused scene. Moreover, No one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way. That means, I'm afraid, that during this summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation of the facts. But how? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here? Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman and how? Those two details are all you need to provide. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was committed. There is no way I can do that, Von Zieks. There is no way. I have no one, not a single suspect on my lengthy list of invisible names. Like, seriously, there is no one. There I was thinking this might be hard. Yeah, it's more borderline impossible, more like it. But Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends. Ugh, no pressure then. Not at all. Not even one tiny sweat drop. That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you are prepared, Consul. Oh, yes, my lord. All right, Ryunosuke. Focus your mind now. Focus! What was that, Naruto or someone? Then when he was making a Rasengan. Ignore me. Clearly, the key to this summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid. Or should I say Mrs. Giradab? I like how no one in the court actually questioned Ryunosuke mentioning that she was his wife over calling her the maid. Not a single person. We have a book that disappeared from the Giradab's house on the evening of the incident, and the 4th book found in the victim's hand. Plus, it was singed, burned, whatever. There must be a way to link the two. Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learnt in my short career so far, whatever it takes. I wonder what he's going to say about a second game when it concerns things like this. Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Giradab and how she reacts, even to the things other people said. Oh, thank you so much, Susato, for a lovely, unnecessary hint. Won't the game, like, notify me? I suppose I should probably turn up... I may have to turn up the sound. Just a I don't want it to be over my voice. So the witnesses are still, like, up there, huh? Interesting. The defense's rebuttal. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his. But as we now know, there were 4 books, not 3. Well, what difference does it make? There's every possibility that the 4th book, in fact, belongs to the defendant's landlord. Yes, that's the part I have a problem with. Sorry? I love that he says that a lot. Well, the point the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Enjoying a fiery scrap with his wife or something, you said. Yeah, fiery scrap being pivotal information. That's not exactly how I put it, no. Well, anyway, neither here nor there. The point is, the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when it happened. I think that's what you call a strong alibi. No, it's not. I mean, strong alibi, I suppose, if you don't have other information. But I have the other information. You could actually call it key information. So it couldn't have been the landlord who did it. Or at least the Nipponese fellow. Everyone's trying. I have to give it to a lot of the witnesses. They're not just puffing smoke. I mean, I suppose the last guy kind of, he just does his own thing, you know. But everyone else, they're actually making claims and backing up those claims. That's appreciated, especially from Fair Play, who seemed like he wants to sabotage this from the start. It's because of what we did to him apparently in the last case, which I still don't quite remember how that ended. I want to say Ryunosuke did something to him and he lost his job at the bank or something. but I honestly don't remember. Honestly, I can't see what all this palaver is about. It's a done deal, isn't it? I suppose it is, since I've nothing witty left to say. I am not one for wit. Sometimes I might make a great comment, but other times I'm just floating along. There was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stopped. I might reconsider. Hold it! So, you might be willing to change your decision, you mean? I didn't say that with half the fire he apparently said that with. Oh my! Such delight on your face! But I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. You almost sound like Joan. Let me tone that down a bit. That was not her voice. Despite what you might think of me, I'm a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman. That's great. Doesn't pertain to the case at hand, but that's great. One reads the morning papers. It's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So I read them in the first place. See? Modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking. Wouldn't you say? And not at all extreme. As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by an overwhelmingly strong testimony. So despite one or two minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic. What do you say? You know what they say, don't speak until you have all the facts. And thanks to me opening my big mouth and making the claim that most of the witnesses on the stand, most of the jury that we have before us today, they actually use logic. And even she did up until, well, whatever this is. Overwhelmingly. But us modern girls are always delighted to embrace new thoughts, you know? I'd be only too happy to consider an exciting new theory if you could come up with one. I'd be happy to do that too, if only I could. Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady. Right. I'm glad you omitted rational there. Ryunosuke with his witty barbs. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to the crime if the window was closed, can it? But what about the possibility that the window was open? In the middle of winter? Highly doubtful. What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. How can you be so sure? He said that with the absolute certainty of 1,000 suns. A prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Winters in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. So no, that window wasn't open. Us Londoners like to sitting by the fire and staying warm, see? But what if you're not just sitting by the fire, you're in a fire? I feel like that kind of changes things. But you couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you? It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it. Sir. I always thought you were like the most logical, and I understand that based off of the facts that you have before you, this was your most logical conclusion. But to simply open and shut the case and say, you know what? No, they would never open this window, even though we know that they burned. Because I want to say even the jury knows about that. Everyone in here, wait, maybe not. I hope just because I know something, I'm not leading that with what they know. Do they know about the fire in the... Yeah, they do know about the fire in the Gyrodebs. Then what's the point of even having windows? Huh? It's not the point you think it is. Counsel, you will kindly refrain from childish bickering. Oh, sorry. I forgot where I was for a second. Somehow I need to show there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Because this young man isn't going to budge otherwise. Hearing me, it was only a little book. Hardly life-threatening even with a direct hit. I don't like the direct hit part. But the little book was on fire at the time, was it not? With flames of love, oh, have you know? There's really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb. Oh, he brought it upon himself. It's playing with fire to betray a fiery love. Isn't it? Well, don't you agree? Oh, well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing. Yes. I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Mrs. Giradeb. Never you mind that. The point is, we were just having a jovial little dispute, nothing more. I won't have any more of these suggestions that it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime. Right, well, we'll see about that. But what about juror number 5? I feel like that book distracted that lady. And someone took the opportunity at that moment to... It doesn't make sense fully because... Well, no. Soseki might not have been behind her. I was gonna say because Soseki saw no one. But if he really was behind the older guy, then that's completely debunked. So, yes. Let's just pretend Soseki was not down that particular road, which he probably wasn't, but unbiased view that he's just not down the road. So there is someone else following the lady, correct? And then a book comes flying out of a window and catches the young lady's interest. So she must picks it up, correct? So she picks it up and then the person is like, cha, while she's distracted. Probably doesn't even hear them coming up behind her. Okay, so we have that, but the question is, who had the motive, means, and opportunity? No one we've met so far. At least not, I don't think so. Well, we'll see about that. What about juror number 5? He doesn't seem to be turning a hair in Mrs. Giradeb's relentless onslaughts. Probably something the missus at home does or something like that. It's almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul he is.
Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble.
Hold it!
You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here.
Well, him and me both then, like I said before.
What?
I told you already, I'm a day laborer, aren't I? If I don't bring home some readies with me tonight, you'll find me floating face down in the toms.
I forgot to look this up. That word. It's not, I don't think you pronounced it H, do you? It's not a word I see often, so it's not something that I am familiar with. I want to say, I don't know. The toms tomorrow morning. I'm curious though, I'm gonna look it up. What?
You hurt me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know? She could be fierce, believe me. Believe you me.
Another shining example of marital bliss then. That's why he's used to Joan hitting him. Sorry, I really do want to actually just figure out how to pronounce this. It's going to bother me otherwise. I'm going to look it up.
Okay. Situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well, how to describe. Do you know, it's funny, but I can't quite remember.
Sorry, he truly does this often. I thought it would be easier.
To say. Thames.
Thames? It's Thames? The River Thames? I never would have said that. Unless this video's a lie, which I don't see why it would be. Oh, it is Thames. The River Thames. Interesting. Okay, I'll try to remember that for next time. Such a weird pronunciation for the spelling. No offense. It's just, you know. It's... I thought pterodactyl was a weird one.
It was too frightening, that's the thing. I must have blocked it out.
Hopeful. I wonder if Mr. Bate... Wow, that was not Susato at all. I wonder if Mr. Bate will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf. Not even 2 seconds later, I'm already butchering it again. Will ever be dried into the Thames by a scarf. Don't even go there, Miss Susato. There must be some way to jog his memory about this.
Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. Gave me the sneezes.
Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case?
Sorry, what's that? You'll have to speak up, lad.
I'm gonna start with the judge. I don't remember his voice though. Could you tell us more about that fire?
Oh, what a beautiful time, even with all the flames around me. It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on the top, it did. What a sight to behold it was.
You put candles on a cake? What? The time, I know it's the time period. Still. Was it some kind of devil worship? Oh, modern society. Look at how far we've come. Just imagine, you see, you're our current ages of whoever's watching this video, right? We're our ages, and then we're hearing story of someone putting candles on a birthday cake. And all of a sudden, we're just like, sorcery. That's hilarious to me.
Of course not. It was an angel cake.
Celebrate my birthday, obviously. Was it some form of devil worship? It would have been hilarious if he said it was a devil's food cake. Ryunosuke might have left the building. Oh boy. Seems that's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo.
Anyway, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out. The candles went flying all over the room. The furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke.
Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold? But how did you catch a cold from a fire?
What a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, blessed them, threw water all over me as they tried to put out the flames. And then because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it.
Finally. It kind of sucks that it took this for everyone to be on board with a possibility of them opening a window. It's not even going to be everyone. The windows?
Biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did.
I don't know if you should be mentioning devils when Ryunosuke already probably has his eye on you with the whole devil worship and candle cake.
I caught a terrible cold from it. It put me in the hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry.
He's over 75 years old, I suppose. Not that it means anything to the case, it's just interesting. I knew it was devil worship all along, but something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason. We need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have attacked the young woman on the street, as well as how he or she could have done it. Yes, but once again, the jurors' statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary. I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation. Yes. Like, that totally will go over well, right? Can't just force someone to switch their, It's not easy sometimes to try to speak to someone. I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions, just a connection might do the trick. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go in for a shrike. Yeah, yeah, yeah! That's the spirit. No Spirit Airlines. Okay, the accused left behind evidence at the scene. There was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed. We're not there yet, I don't think. Even if the woman was throwing books. The window was... Can I do this?
Objection.
He changed his statement. You would think juror number 3 was in the... Well, I guess he is kind of in the hot seat with the flames dancing behind them like that. These two jurors' statements clearly contradict one another. Objection!
They do. How exactly, Consul?
Don't point at me again. I told you, it wasn't me.
What's that you say? Speak up, lad. Speak up!
Juror number 3, do you see? Oh, me? See what, sir? I'm not in the... I'm not necessarily in the mood for glasses wearing, but do I need to maybe purchase a set of spectacles? Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the... Oh. Is this the part where I wipe the egg off my face with one of my hands? Because maybe I should get to it. Oh. Exactly. On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garadeb household. And Mr. Garadeb had the following to say about it. And I quote, "The whole place filled with smoke." Oh my head.
Excuse me.
Oh, excuse me? Joan? Mrs. Maid, but actually secretly married to Mr. Garadeb, but not really a secret because we are no skate out of you, Joan? Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Keep the tea a-coming, I suppose. Mrs. Garadeb! Oh, dearie me! What is the meaning of this? How do you imply that I'm hiding who I really am? It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now. What is it? When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window? What? I beg your pardon? 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 What are you insinuating? The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window. And what if we did? Oh, all right then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy, so continue to give him a justly deserved book battering. Even though your house was on fire? So yeah, she admits that she was continuously throwing books, which is how it ended up outside. Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for the nerves to do otherwise. Of course. How silly of me. The nerves. Right. I should have realized. That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You've managed to establish that the window was open. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Garadeb's formal statement. Not really sure who is next on the list. Now you mention it, yes, the window was open at the time. I'd clean forgotten, but it's true. Just want to get this over with. Obviously, we don't need him anymore. Window could have been open when the woman was throwing books. I guess it's them? What would... she still talked about stabbing. Yeah, I guess we'll pit these two. Don't really...
Objection.
Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
I'm sorry, but as foreman of the jury, I have to object. That's complete nonsense.
What?
I'm a banker, don't forget. An educated man. and there is no contradiction as far as I can see. Quite so, Mr. Foreman. I would not permit a whimsical attack against the good members of the jury council.
There was nothing whimsical about it. It's very important to listen carefully to every juror, Mr. Naruhodo. Then you could decide where the contradictions really lie, if there are any. I guess I have to repress her statement. I can't see there being anything else.
Hold it!
I see. The fort book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Giradab told us he had been reading.
This is why I tried to shut that old man up. Well, I really couldn't say.
On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband the copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading?
I did.
Oh?
It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. And now you come to mention it. Yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right.
He was reading it at the time. Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset?
Because I couldn't, you insolent little man. I didn't remember. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on. As well, you know.
I really don't. I don't get that angry.
I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it.
Excuse me.
I don't understand why he will look confused. Of all people. What is it, juror number 5? That pose.
You know something? I've remembered what it was. That memory I blocked out.
Ah.
It was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought it all flooding back. Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Giradab, the maid. How have you...
Mrs. Giradab, the maid. How have you know? The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time.
It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home at the work like. Put my hand in my pocket for the wages I just earned that day, and I nearly died. There was hope. Every last penny had dropped out.
Oh dear, what a disaster.
You haven't heard the half of it, boy.
Oh?
Wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out. But I told her straight. I've lost a day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear. Stuck it to the wall next to me, it did. About an inch deep.
No words, just terror. Just absolute freeze mind-numbing terror.
I could smell it then, you know? That god-awful stench of the Thames. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I could tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it?
I'll never use the word lightly again.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it.
Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined. No, I wasn't thinking that. Absolutely not, no. Not even a little. Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like. What? Attack? Who are you going to attack? Never mind. Anyway, this man's words will be rather significant, I think. Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later. If I dare.
A woman in a rage will hurl almost anything at you. Catch a knife really brought that home to me.
I'm a little stumped. Window was open at the time. I mean, this knife. I guess that it could work against juror number 2. If there was some novel alternative explanation. Like Joan threw a knife. But it didn't seem like they were missing that many knives in the kitchen. Right? We saw when we were in the Gyrodabs, like you could see the silverware and stuff. I guess if this is wrong, if this is wrong,
Objection.
I think this is right. Those two statements clearly have a deeply significant connection.
Good grief! You mean they don't contradict each other? Explain, Consul, at once!
Juror number 2, do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel alternative? Ah. So we're gonna go this route. That would be something if Joan not only threw a book out the window, but also a freaking blade with her husband standing in front of the window. Like, I kind of agree with Susato 100% that throwing books, knives blindly, not happening. Like, not even a little bit. Oh my, whatever do you mean? An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back.
What are you talking about?
We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Gyrodab's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book, yes, it's all coming to me now, could have found its way from the Gyrodab household to the street below. I mean, yeah. I don't know, I guess the only reason why I'm not super gung-ho about this route is no one else mentioned this. Like, Mr. Gyrodab only mentioned books or something like that, didn't he? I don't think anyone said anything about knives or anything flying out of the house.
Hey, what's that now?
After all, Mrs. Gyrodab could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4? What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole? I'm beginning to think that ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened. Shh. So she inadvertently... You know what? I'm seeing it now. While the lady was bent over, picking up the book, and as someone that works in like retail, I should have known. Like, I know I'm not bending at the dang knees sometimes, maybe. But anyways, when you're bending over to pick up something, your back is like wide open, right? So if the book came first, which it obviously did, and I got hair on my face, but if the book came first, and then Joan chucks a knife at her husband, and it goes sailing out of the window, gravity, I guess velocity, will just have it flying down. I guess it depends. I'm like, wouldn't gravity have worked against that? Like, wouldn't the lady have been more stabbed? I guess the coat may have protected her. I don't know. I just feel like this is too easy, isn't it? This feels like the easy route.
Now you listen here, you Eastern Galah. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house. But what? What was it?
I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least this warrants further investigation. Absolutely, I can totally agree with that. But him saying it like this leads me to believe that that's also not truly what happened. It just feels too easy. Like, okay, so she flings the book out the window, blah, blah, blah. I just explained all this. But it feels so easy. All right, Mr. Foreman. I tried to explain the defense's theory. The other object that found its way from the Girdeb household to the scene of the crime was... Like, it just didn't look like... I don't remember their house that well, but I feel like the silverware was... Like, I want to say they were missing one blade. This does not look like the sort of blade that would go in that set. Juror number 4, Mrs. Girdeb. What no? I must apologize in advance for this. You're going to hate me for this, possibly forever. In fact, you're going to join Mr. Fairplay in wishing that I was going down to the depths of Hades. But I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before? Ah!
Good lord, Consul. What on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged into the victim's back, man!
My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Girdeb were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Girdeb was hurling anything she could at her husband, who had been backed up against a window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book sailed to land at the crime scene.
You can't seriously believe that. The book was found in the victim's grasp.
Are you saying that it flew out of the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand? Across the street. This changes everything even a little bit more for me. Now I don't even believe that's what happened to the book. Across the street? Like, I could see you throwing it out of the window and maybe it lands in the street. Maybe, but all the way across the street? I don't know. She would have a fierce throw if that was the case.
Huh? Even my missus has a guarded aim like that.
Yes, I admit there are many details we don't yet understand. But that's the point. That's precisely why. We must not allow this trial to end. Not right now. Why?
Oh, he's 100% correct.
Mrs. Girdeb, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not? Across the street. I'm really trying to think here. Because I didn't even, it's like I kind of figured that the location being called like North Side, South Side or something like that, I figured that would come into play, but I forgot about it. But now that he mentions that she was on the opposite side of the Girdeb's abode, I was thinking that she was right on their sidewalk. So my theory has been literally Swiss cheesed for a while. However, I don't think she's throwing it that far. Now, what bothers me is that even the book portion of my thought process has lost credence. Because now I'm starting to think it's a red herring. It, like, to basically allow this route to happen. Let's not forget, we still have 2 witnesses that have not come into play. And I want to believe that they will come up in this case at some point. And since we're going this route now, but also because it just felt very far-fetched, I don't know. I mean, it's Ace Attorney. Thud. Why does Ryunosuke look like he's getting ready to draw that sword for blood? My lord! Oh, I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word after all. I like her to a degree. Less than juror number 3, but more than fair play. I can't judge the other ones yet. Thank you, madame.
Yes, I agree. Certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions.
Now I like her side by side with fair play.
Mr. Foreman!
I did not see fair play changing his opinion.
I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it, mind.
Yes. You know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either.
All together now, ladies and gents.
I mean, I think we got enough. Yeah. I don't know where the old man stands. We did it. Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay. Oh man, this video is gonna have to definitely come to an end right here. But boy, there is so much to unpack now. I want to record another episode like back to back with this one. Because I don't want to think about it too much alone on my own time. I want to actually get my thoughts out as I'm thinking about it. And there's just so much to unpack now. Did Joan inadvertently stab the woman? That's all that happened. The lady's in a coma or something. She's not dead. But it's like, I'm starting to let me just go back to that one point real quick about where I think it's a red herring. This has happened before, I want to say, in Ace Attorney history. So I'm kind of like basing it off that a little bit, where I'm pretty sure even in regular human history it's happened. Okay, they're probably like, you know what, Eureka, we have this knife and we have this random book. We're gonna stick the book in the victim's hand and we're gonna have the knife. And guess who had opportunity? See, this is why I'm happy. I'm happy I didn't end this video, because talking about this just made me think about it. There was one person that was alone at the crime scene at that time. And wasn't it Patricia? I want to say it was Patricia. I don't think it was Rolly. Right? So Patricia probably saw those items and put the book in her hand, because she was the one that knew the name of that book, correct? And also stabbed the woman with the knife? But that means that they found the knife first, because obviously she wouldn't just yeah, that's a little wonky now, because if someone stabbed the lady first, upon finding the knife Joan threw out the window, which I could see that being the case, Joan seemed like she recognized the knife. So that's 100% a knife from the Gyarados, most likely. Someone picked up the knife and stabbed her and put the book in her hand. Or did she still find the book herself and someone found the knife and stabbed her with it? Which came first, the chicken or the dang egg? I have no idea. And that's how I feel about this trial right now. Just when I thought that I was on the right track, I'm pretty sure Joan probably has something to do with it. That I feel now, looking at it, I'm feeling like that was a very naive take. Normally, my first guesses over who the culprit is a wild guess in the dark, and I kind of stick with it for a bit. And Joan was definitely that for me. I'm like Fred in a pup named Scooby-Doo with Red Herring, and he's always accusing Red Herring. I'm always accusing that one person that seems like super suspicious at the beginning of the game. That's just how I roll, especially when we haven't spoken to two other witnesses. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling now, but I want to say that Patricia or Rolly, I can't remember which one of them it was. If it's Rolly, that means he's probably gonna have let's not even forget the guy had a dang gun. He is ready. He was ready to lock and load on someone. So there was that. But I don't know. Under those conditions, wouldn't he just have used that? But I guess not. It would be too incriminating. I don't know. One of them, I'm saying, or Jester guy, because he lives at the Garradap. Like, it could be anyone. I'm going in circles. I don't know anymore. I don't know. But anyways, while I considered the possibilities a little bit more, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for sticking with me if you made it this far throughout all those ramblings. And until next time, I hope y'all have a great and wonderful day. See you again soon. Bye.